My name is Vera. I'm 55 years old. My husband passed away 6 years ago after battling a serious illness for nearly 2 years. Since then, I've been living alone in a small house on the outskirts of St. Paul, Minnesota, the place where he and I once planted flower beds together and painted every step of the staircase. My daughter, Emily, has been married for almost 3 years. She's my only child and really the only thing I have left. Since she was little, Emily has always been gentle and thoughtful. She chose to become a nurse and now works at a nursing home near the city center. It's not an easy job, but she's never once complained. Emily's husband, Phelim, comes across as polite and soft-spoken. He used to work as a security guard for a logistics company, but after a round of layoffs last winter, he lost his job. Nearly half a year passed, and he still hadn't found steady work. He started taking short-term jobs, lifting boxes, delivering food by the hour. I understand how unemployment can wear down someone's pride and patience. I didn't blame him, but I saw my daughter becoming thinner, more tired. She'd come home from work and still had to cook, do laundry, then doze off from exhaustion. Once, when I visited them, I saw her taking out the trash, quietly crying. She didn't say anything, but I knew. Then one evening, as I sat on my porch sipping the last of my ginger tea, an idea came to me. I had a small savings account, money I'd set aside for emergencies in old age. But now, I thought maybe I could share part of it with Emily and Phelim, help them get back on their feet. I called Phelim and invited him over for lunch. I cooked a simple meal, Emily's favorite beef stew, apple salad, and buttered bread. After we finished eating, I gently slid a small envelope toward him and said, "I found a used Camry that's still in good shape. I'll buy it in my name, so you can get to work more easily. You'll be able to take jobs farther out without worrying." Phelim looked at me, eyes wide like he couldn't believe it. After a moment, he nodded again and again, thanking me over and over. I had no idea that this very car, a gift chosen with love and good intentions, would become the beginning of my son-in-law's downfall. About 2 weeks after getting the car, Phelim started to change in small ways. He became more energetic, often talking about interviews and places hiring for security jobs. Emily said he seemed more confident, sometimes even cooking or giving her a ride to work, though only on rare occasions. I felt a quiet joy inside. After all, I just wanted my daughter to have a partner who could carry his weight and stand on his own 2 feet. I never expected Phelim to be successful or wealthy. I only hoped he would cherish the woman who chose to walk beside him. Time passed. I still visited their small apartment now. And then, one day, while I was washing dishes in the kitchen, I heard Emily say that Phelim had just been hired part-time as a security guard at a shopping center near the airport. His shift ran from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., and the schedule rotated during the week. I nodded, pretending to be reassured. But from that moment on, something made me start to pay attention. At first, it was just little things. One morning, I stopped by Emily's place after she had left for work. Phelim wasn't home yet. I took a walk to the parking lot behind the building to check the tires, and noticed a strange scent inside the car. It was sweet and strong, not something a man would normally wear. I hesitated for a moment, then told myself, maybe he tried a sample at the store. Or maybe Emily used the car. I didn't want to think too much. Older people tend to be suspicious. I didn't want to become a nosy mother-in-law. Another time, I called Phelim to ask about the vehicle registration. I had received a letter from the insurance company. His voice sounded a little flustered. "Oh, I thought since the car's in your name, you'd already handled it. Let me check." After that call, I began paying closer attention to his driving patterns. The car I bought had a basic GPS tracker, mostly for theft prevention. I had never really checked it until I received an email saying the car had traveled over 80 miles the night before, heading toward a remote area near Mille Lacs Lake. He had told Emily he was working a night shift at the shopping center, but there was no reason for him to go that far out. I tried to calm myself. Maybe it was a sudden work assignment, or someone asked him for a favor. But the more it happened, the more these coincidences felt anything but. One Sunday morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The sky was overcast, and the breeze carried a chill from the lake. I brewed a pot of tea and planned to drive to the farmer's market on the east side of town. But as I turned onto a small road in the suburbs, I suddenly froze. A silver Toyota Camry, the exact one I had bought, was parked neatly in front of a modest roadside lodge called Hidden Pines Lodge. The car was pulled slightly to the side, as if it had arrived not long ago. The license plate was unmistakable. I had purchased it under my name, checked every document myself. My heart started pounding. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the feeling in my chest said otherwise. I sat there for a few more minutes, filled with doubt and a kind of nameless dread. I didn't drive off. My hands stayed on the wheel, and my thumb tapped gently against the steering column, a quiet rhythm echoing the unease in my gut. I had told myself many times, don't interfere in your daughter's marriage, don't suspect anything without clear evidence. But the moment I saw that car parked nearly 40 miles from home on an early Sunday morning, something inside me tightened. I took out my phone and snapped a picture of the car with the lodge's sign behind it. Then, after a few seconds of hesitation, I texted Emily. I just drove past Hidden Pines Lodge. Phelim's car is parked here. He said he had a night shift yesterday, right? I didn't expect much after hitting send. But barely 10 seconds later, my phone rang. Emily was calling. Mom, are you sure it's his car? Come over to my place. If you want to know the truth, we'll go find it together. Half an hour later, Emily showed up at my front door. Her eyes were red. No makeup. Hair pulled back hastily. She didn't say a word. She just got into my car. We drove in silence the entire way back to Hidden Pines Lodge. I rented a small room next to the reception desk. From the window, we had a clear view of the main walkway leading to the parking lot, and the Camry was still parked there, unmoved. Time felt like it was dragging, as if someone was deliberately stretching out a moment we didn't want to face. A little after 10 a.m., the door to room 207 opened. A man in a hoodie stepped out first, a silhouette I knew all too well. It was Phelim. Right after him came a young woman, blonde, wearing a short nightgown that barely reached mid-thigh. She laughed, said something, and reached for Phelim's hand. They stood there for a while, then kissed each other like no one was watching. Emily turned her face away. Her shoulders trembled. I heard her breath catch a silent, stifled sob. We stayed in the room for another 30 minutes. I discreetly recorded a short video, a piece of evidence to keep for later. On the way home, Emily didn't say a word. Neither did I. But right before I turned onto her street, I said softly, "Don't do anything rash. You need time. And you need clarity. I'll be here with you." She nodded, then hugged me. For the first time in years, I felt like my daughter had turned back into the little girl who once cried in my lap when her doll broke. But this time, the broken thing couldn't be replaced. The next morning, I called the insurance company about the Camry. I was still the registered owner. When the agent asked why I wanted to cancel the policy and revoke usage rights, I simply replied, "I no longer want someone using my car to do things they shouldn't be doing." That same day, the car's insurance account was locked, and it was flagged for towing if used, without legal coverage. I also reached out to an old acquaintance, Mr. Mark Jennings, a retired lawyer who used to be close friends with my late husband. When my husband passed away, it was Mark who helped me handle the legal paperwork and inheritance. I told him I needed legal advice about gathering evidence for my daughter, in case of divorce. Mark paused for a moment, then said, "Vera, you're still the calm and determined woman I remember. Send me everything you have. I'll take it from here." I sent Mark the video I had recorded at Hidden Pines Lodge, along with photos of the car, text messages, and GPS logs of the vehicle's movements over the past 3 weeks. Everything had timestamps. Detailed. Precise. Not to hurt anyone, but to prove the truth. Meanwhile, Emily started noticing strange charges on their shared credit card. There were transactions from hotel booking apps and some online orders delivered to an address that wasn't theirs. The more she looked, the more Emily uncovered. Phelim had secretly opened a secondary card under her name, using it for personal expenses. Worse yet, He had registered an online banking account to move money around through multiple channels. That night, Emily came to my house. She placed a stack of printed bank statements on the table in front of me. Her voice was hoarse. "I feel so stupid, Mom. We lived in the same house, and I didn't see any of this." I simply took her hand. I didn't say a word. I didn't want to say, "I suspected," or "I saw it coming." I knew what Emily needed now was calm. Not to be swept away by anger, but to act decisively and clearly. So we sat down and made a plan. 3 days later, on a gloomy afternoon with light rain, Emily decided to return home after staying with me for a few nights. The apartment was just the same, small and tidy, but the air felt completely different. Everything was now silent in a strange and heavy way. Phelim came home around 8 p.m. He walked in looking tired, took off his coat, and kissed Emily lightly on the forehead, as if nothing had changed. Emily stepped back. She said nothing. When he went to get something from the closet, he discovered his bank card no longer worked, the car was gone, and an email from the insurance company said the vehicle was no longer valid for use. His face slowly changed. "What's going on? Where's the car? Why is my card frozen?" Emily stood in the middle of the living room, clutching a folder in her hand. She looked straight at the man she had shared a bed with for 3 years and placed a large envelope on the table. "This is the divorce petition, along with all the evidence, including the video of you and that woman at Hidden Pines." Phelim froze. What?
What are you talking about?"
He stammered, looking around as if searching for a way out. "So, tell me, where were you on that night shift? Which shopping center? Who was the blonde girl? Was that nightgown part of her work uniform?" Emily's voice wasn't loud, but every word dropped like a stone. Phelim stepped back, still trying to salvage something. "You misunderstood. She's just a coworker. We were on a work trip." Emily raised a finger to cut him off. She gently pushed a second stack of papers across the table. "These are credit card statements, hotel bookings, delivery orders sent to another address, and a copy of the online bank account registered under your name. I'm not misunderstanding anything." Phelim went silent. Then he turned to look at me, sitting in the corner of the room since the beginning, without saying a word. Our eyes met. His were full of confusion, anger, and perhaps a flicker of fear. I simply lifted my teacup and took a slow sip. No words were needed. "I bought that car so you could get to work, not to take your mistress on getaways. You betrayed my daughter and used my money to pretend to be a decent man. Now, walk away on your own 2 feet." Phelim clenched his fists. But then, maybe realizing he had no way to deny anything anymore, he grabbed his coat and left the apartment. Not another word. The door closed behind him. Emily sat down, silent. Then, for the first time in days, she broke down crying. Not out of pain, but as if she had finally let go of a burden that had been weighing her down far too long. I walked over and placed my hand gently on her shoulder. And I thought to myself, I couldn't protect her from every fall in life. But at least this time, she didn't have to go through the pain alone. That year, autumn came earlier than usual. The maple leaves began changing color by mid-September, turning golden along the small road leading to my neighborhood. In the early mornings, a cool breeze swept across the porch, carrying the damp, earthy scent of soil and rotting wood, a smell I've always associated with quiet beginnings. Emily finalized the divorce in mid-October. It didn't drag on. No disputes. With all the clear evidence, Phelim had no choice but to accept the terms and give up his claim to any shared assets. He moved out of the city, leaving no forwarding address. Emily moved in with me for a while. Every morning, the two of us would brew coffee, take walks around the small lake nearby, and sometimes stop by the old bookshop on the corner. I noticed she laughed more. Her eyes looked less tired. As for me, I sold the Camry, the car that started with kindness, then turned into proof of betrayal. It wasn't much money, but enough to take Emily on a short trip to the Oregon coast, a place my late husband and I had once dreamed of retiring to. We walked along the cold morning shore, watched seagulls skim across the waves, and spent hours in a small cafe watching the drizzle fall gently on the window. No need for many words. No regrets. I no longer felt angry at Phelim. Truly, those who betray will eventually pay their price. And those who stay, the ones brave enough to open their eyes, they will find a new path, even when it seems everything has fallen apart. One evening, in my small kitchen, Emily placed her hand on my shoulder and said, "Thank you, Mom. Without you, I think I'd still be stuck in that loop." I gently squeezed her hand, then replied calmly, "You saved yourself, honey. I just helped you find the flashlight you thought you'd lost." Outside, the wind was shifting. A new season was on its way. And we, my daughter and I, were ready for a fresh beginning.